Hey everybody, welcome back to another Vortex Gallery TO interview. I'm here with ScrubSaibot today. We're going to talk a little bit
Hey,
about
what's up?
Samurai Shodown. We are bringing back the latest edition of the franchise. We have a little bit of a history with Samurai Shodown at the side events at Evo, so I really want to first welcome you, and second, talk a little bit about this particular game that we're going to be bringing over. So, first of all, how you doing?
Uh, I'm all right. My schedule's a little packed right now, but I'm doing okay.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, that I feel that sentiment greatly. That's how I feel right now. And well, Samurai Showdown. Um, this is an interesting one because I feel like we really can't get enough of offline Samurai Showdown in North America, in the West in general. It's a game that people have really wanted to see at tournaments, at majors, right? Obviously, because that's where it's best enjoyed, and it's it's kind of lacked a certain ecosystem that supports it at majors, right? I think would be a fair assessment of the situation. So, first of all, talk to me a little bit about your experience with this game. How long have you been doing this? What is your perspective of supporting the scene, and like, how you feel about running this event?
So when Sam Show came out, I feel like there was a lot of kind of popular interest with like what the game was laying down with its design philosophy. With the simple neutral based gameplay, without much of an execution barrier. And I was actually at Evo 2019, which was only about a month after the game came out, and it seemed like a lot of people were really digging it. I know it was for a 1 month tournament. It's like, is it really necessarily indicative of the long term health of the game? Like, not exactly, as we would end up seeing, but there was a lot of people that were really on board, and I feel like over time, despite the success that the game has had at the events that it was at, I feel like people just kind of had issues getting down with it. The biggest and most repeated issue being the netcode and some of the online bugs that have plagued the game since launch, that unfortunately have made it pretty hard both for like prospective new players and for people that used to be really passionate and people that actually used to like enter tournaments and place pretty well. They've decided they don't necessarily want to keep playing either.
Right.
And it's like that combined with COVID, I feel like the game was poised in its first year, despite the fall off that it had. It was poised to have a pretty good showing at events in 2020. The biggest reason being the status of the game as a main Evo lineup game. And I think that would have really helped the game like on a main stage, really helped it show its stuff. And I personally, because I placed higher than I expected at a few offline majors, I was very motivated to like go traveling just for that reason.
Okay.
But COVID really like put a damper on that,
I hear
and
you.
then we were all faced with this problem. It's like, okay, well, now this online situation that we're in, this is going to be the foreseeable future. So what do we do with that? So the community tried a bunch of things that either petered out or had a good run of things, and then didn't really work out for a variety of reasons. Like base netcode weeklies, those ran for a while, and then they petered out. Uh, Parsec became the main avenue for online tournaments for a while, but unfortunately, Parsec comes with its own issues. It's a little cumbersome and not very good for accessibility. There's a pretty big expense, and it just turned out that people didn't really want to play Parsec casually, so that sort of got set back. And then for me, I was, there was a long period of time where, despite what this game has done for me and my passion for it and what I've enjoyed of it, that I got like kind of down and out about the game, because I feel like net play really kind of warps your perspective a bit.
Oh yeah.
I just wasn't feeling it anymore, and then there's a couple mainly lunar bout from this year where I was just like, I'm gonna go to this because it's like every single time I play this game local, I've enjoyed it. So if I go to this tournament and I have a good showing and I enjoyed it, then I'll be able to define it. I'll be able to figure out definitively if I'm really down with Sam Show. And I went and I had a great time. So that was a point at which I decided, like, Sam Show for sure is worth playing, because at that tournament, it felt like a 2019 tournament. It felt like a tournament in the first year. Like, it was actually like at that tournament at Lunar Bout, Sam Show was actually the third highest entrance,
Okay.
and I actually heard people getting significantly louder for Sam Show than they did for most KOF games at Lunar Bout.
Yeah.
And it's very telling that I think there is some aspect of the game that really connects with people, because at Evo, Canada Cup, Frosty Faustings, and like every big offline tournament I've ever been to, people get super into Sam Show. And I think it's very clear that some aspect of the game is very special, and there's some like design aspect. I think like the easy to understand nature of the game and the high impact of the decision making just like really gets people invested, and it makes people want to play. And so I feel that if we keep having events, especially because like even without Sam Show as an official game, now we can have Sam Show on our own terms, and the people involved with the community can make sure, this will be there. Sam Show will get its due. You'll have casuals, you'll have a stream, and all this. And from here, like, I don't necessarily see the fact that the game's not like a main game at tournaments to be a huge concern, because now the ball is in our court to represent the game the way it deserves to, and to make sure it'll be there, and then we can grow from here.
You know what? I first of all want to say that's an awesome sentiment to have, because I think that is something that games that have less problems, I would say, playing online, have that problem for offline. Is that representation? People ask, why does X or Y game continue to see growth even if the features maybe don't represent what people want? The fact of the matter is, people just show up, right? I think showing up is just part of what makes a scene grow, and that's really the big thing. I think I congratulate everybody who is coming to Vortex this year. Is that's what I got to hand to them, because we're seeing a lot of returning names from 2019. If not the TO, then the game, right? Just people who continue to have that interest. But also, in some cases, both, right? The players who were there when it all started and are continuing to contribute to the scene. So that's really great. I you mentioned Lunar Bout. You mentioned some of the other games, I know a lot of us who are familiar with SNK fighting games probably know a little bit about every SNK fighting game, with probably a few weird exceptions. So like, I mean, how do you feel about that? Like, how has it been supporting the SNK like fighting game community, like in general, like that particular niche?
I feel like there's definitely like a passion for SNK, like the development studio, not just like any individual game. And there's definitely a lot of friends and acquaintances I've made that are not really Sam Show players anymore, but they were once. But like, some of my closest friends are KOF players and former Sam Show players, and it's not like my relationship with them is in any way diminished just because I still play Sam Show. I feel like in that pool of people, like there's definitely growth potential within there for both games mutually, because I've been playing KOF casually. I haven't even really played matches, but it's something that's on the cards, and something that's open. And there's design decisions in the game that definitely match both Samsho and KOF. And I know a lot of people that are active or were active also played KOF, and it's definitely not like a zero relation between Cat and Samsho and KOF. I think they're intrinsically related in their histories and the people who play. And I feel like a lot of those people, just in the SNK circle, that you know they played KOF, I think they'd be willing to give Samsho a try at Vortex Gallery.
Totally agree. Um, I do want to, I guess, get your take on players, because uh, you're a case where your passion for the game has driven you from like being a player back near the launch to bringing the game back as a community tournament, and then from there, like I have the the personal experience of when I was not really sure what parsec was. I was kind of not a believer. I was like, oh, what is this? What are people doing with this? The first, I think, interaction I had with it was playing Sam Show. I was just hanging out, playing a couple sessions. But I mean, talk to me. Like, how do you feel about potentially the players that will be there, and also how the game has changed since Evo. Like where would you say we're at now with Sam Show?
So after I went to Lunar Bout, I was like, okay, from this point, what comes out of I don't know what really will come out of this. I don't know if anything will come out of it. And then I was very fortunate to be made aware of that there's actually a pretty active community on the next gen version, the Xbox Series version,
Okay.
and they have very regular lobby events like we used to have with Parsec. Uh, they have regular monthlies, and then the unique thing about Xbox Series is that the net quality is actually tangibly better than the versions of the game on other platforms. Despite it being delay based, it definitely feels better. There are people that I cannot play on PS4 at all, like I won't play them, and it's actually viable to play in tournament with them
Okay.
on Xbox Series. So it's like, it is what it is, right? And not everyone has an Xbox Series or can get one or is willing. But, I was told at Lunar Bow, and then, I spent enough on the game already, but I ordered an Xbox Series when I figured out about it. And I've been playing more Sam Show now this year than I actually did probably since 2020. And I wasn't expecting the game to be in this position where there's like an active, growing community. Like, if you want to ask if people are playing Sam Show, it's like, yes, people absolutely are playing Sam Show. Even if you looked around a bit and you thought the game was quote unquote dead, and you just assumed you wouldn't be able to play again, I think if you're somebody in that situation who used to play, now is as good a time as ever to take a look at the Xbox Series Discord, show up to one of our weeklies and see how you like things. Because I feel like there's only going up. We have pretty respectable numbers. We fill out a 16-man weekly every month, and we're in a better position than a lot of other games. There's games that you can't find people, or there isn't regular tournaments. So it's just, I feel like we have a pretty great opportunity here, and it's definitely no accident that we have the support this year to make this happen at VG. That's definitely connected to the Xbox Series community. And I have Kellyanne and Thrusties all to thank for all of their promotion and the help they're lending with running the tournament and streaming. I don't think it would be possible without them. And I'm very, very excited for what we can do if we can get the right, if we can, like with the amount of people we can get on board, I think we could get close to 30 people. We already have 14, and including 2 people I know who are going but have not signed up for 16. And I feel like if we could get close to 30 people, I'd be very happy. I don't even think we'd be out of the question if we got 40 people. So, yes, there's a lot of growth potential, and I'm very excited. And especially, I definitely think there's a possibility that some old players from a long time ago might rethink things and then come back and bring their skills to the table. And from there, we might get more new people, and from there, we can keep building and building. So, my doomer attitude that I used to have in COVID, it's definitely being assuaged, and I feel better about the game now than I have for a long time, and I definitely think that some others might feel the same way if they give it a shot.
Yeah. I guess I should ask. I always ask things like this where the game has, a following overseas in other regions. I think one of the things that is kind of up in the air, depending on who I ask, is like, how do you guys feel about potentially players from Japan coming and checking out the tournament? What do you guys think about the scene over there compared to, what you're participating in currently? Like, in terms of international representation, do you have any expectations of that, or do you just really want to see something offline, just in general?
So Japan, we've been looking at Japan tournaments, and they actually have had regular tournaments on multiple platforms, like online tournaments, the entire time uh, through COVID, with respectable numbers and a lot of pretty cool character representation that you don't really see in the West, or that we haven't seen. And it doesn't look like they faltered at all. Like if you go to their YouTube, they have videos for every single week. So there's definitely some pretty high level play that is active over there. And if we could even get a couple people from those weeklies, or from I know there's a local scene in, I think it's Tokyo, at I think it's a gaming bar, and that's generally the area for high level play in Japan. And I know that there's some sponsored players or some known players from that have entered high level tournaments over there that are still active doing that. And it would be very, very cool if, I don't know if you'd fly from Japan to the US just for Sam Show. I don't know if that's reasonable to expect or if that's going to happen. But if some of those people were happening to come and they would enter Sam Show, even with a couple of those people to shake it up, I think it would be pretty cool. And I encourage anybody thinking about that, definitely, open arms. A few of us have been talking about it'd be pretty cool to play with some of those guys. So I think it's definitely possible.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's certainly interesting to compare competition. I really appreciate hearing the growth story that you guys have been going through. I really want to see that translate to offline numbers, because yeah, I mean you're right. Despite everything, I think people come back to Sam Show because it offers something that they really like. I've been a fan of the retro titles for a long time, and I totally see it. I think my personal local pre-pandemic times was absolutely running a Sam Show setup every single week, and now we're starting to have those conversations again. I think everyone's like really just looking for the excuse, right? So yeah, I super appreciate your time. I don't know if you have any closing thoughts, anything you want to say to people aside from play Sam Show.
Uh, Thank you for watching. More to come. Hit me up if ever you want to play. If you're interested in playing, definitely join Chef Raptor's Samurai Showdown Discord, and then join the Xbox Fighters Discord. There's people asking for games almost every day. Hit me up if you want to run sets, or if you want me to direct you somewhere. Thank you for listening. I hope to see you in Vegas to embrace death.
Thanks, guys. Remember, registration is open right now for Samurai Showdown. It's going to be start.gg/Vortex Gallery and vortexgallery.moe for all information. We'll be back with more interviews very soon. Thank you guys for watching.